G'day Bodgies and Widgies and welcome back to the channel. What better way to start off the year than by showing off the largest aquarium in my fish room, my 1,500 litre mixed community paludarium. I really shouldn't be taking breaks from making videos because I just forget the entire process. Anyways, right, if you are a new viewer of this channel, welcome. My name is Bodgie, I'm a 22-year-old Australian aquarist, and if you're a returning viewer, thank you for coming back. It has been a little while since my last video, but we are heading into 2026 with an absolute bang, starting off with my pride and joy, my mixed community paludarium. This tank is 6 feet long, 2.5 feet wide, and a whopping 3 feet tall. And at total operational volume, so that's including the entire glass box display and the gargantuan sump underneath, we're looking at about 1,500 litres or 400 gallons. What that allows me to do though, is sacrifice a little bit of the water volume up the top and still keep some absolutely ginormous big fish in the display down the bottom. So stay tuned, I really hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing at the end if you enjoy it. But without further ado, let's have a look at some fish. So one of the pros and cons of making aquarium videos is that quite often the entire journey of your aquarium is documented on YouTube. The con for me in this situation is that when this tank was first set up, it was hideous. I mean, it was just a big blue box with some rainbow fish and artificial plants. It was so bad that actually the sump looked way better than the main display. However, over the year and a bit that this tank has been running, it really has evolved into this beautiful ecosystem. And it's an ecosystem in the truest sense of that word. All the plants up here have their roots suspended in the water, which means they can pull up all the nutrients, the nitrates, phosphates, and everything else released by the fish, which in turn turbocharges the plant growth to get me the jungle that I have today. The plants are growing so well that it's actually breaching the aquarium, which is so cool to see. But also down the bottom, the aquatic section has evolved quite a fair bit as well. I mean, we've got more hardscape, it's all maturing with different types of algae taking hold. There's a 3D background in here, but more importantly, we've got a really cool diverse range of fish. But through this entire journey, there have been two fish, a single species, that has been the core of this whole tank. It's part of the reason why I got this aquarium, and that is my pair of Australian lungfish. These fish have been with me probably the same time that this tank has been with me, and they have been putting on size slowly but surely to the point where they're almost big enough to be released into the main display. In terms of what's actually living in the display though, it's changed a bit as well. I mean, it started off as a very native Australian dominant tank, but now it is very much leaning into the South American side of things, which I have touched on in the past as to why that journey happened. But we've got a fair few new South American fish in the tank. So let's have a look at some of the newer entries. The first of which is this beautiful group of silver dollars. I think I have a positive curse towards silver dollars. Every time I'm given the opportunity to rescue some or take some in, and I find a new home for them, and then like literally 6 months later, I get more silver dollars. However, this time I actually think I'm gonna keep them. This has probably been the best group of silver dollars I've had. They were from a tank shutdown, and they've got some absolutely beautiful colors. I think it's also the lighting has to do with the way that they look, but they've got this very pink hue to them, and also a lot of golds and greens. And they're adding a lot of activity, size, and vibrance to this tank, and I think it's very much needed for the display area where we've got some great movement now. There has also been a couple of other fish which I never thought would make their way into the tank, and one of which was another rescue, and that is a big male Jack Dempsey. Jack Dempseys are a fish that are very near and dear to my heart. If you've been watching my channel for a bit, you'll know that I did used to have a very old 9-year-old female Jack Dempsey in a planted community with a bunch of nano fish, and she was an absolutely amazing citizen in that tank. She did pass through to old age, and I do have a smaller one actually growing up in this tank, which is looking to be a very promising, stunning male of a Jack Dempsey, but I also did get given an absolutely ginormous male that kind of has a bit of a sob story. So he was at a local aquarium store as a display fish with a female. They were the in-house breeding pair until the female decided that she is no longer going to tolerate the male and absolutely beat the living daylights out of him. He now has a busted jaw, kind of raggedy fins, but he's still a beautiful fish, and this tank is going to serve as a bit of a nice retirement home for him. There is a third fish that, again, I never thought I would get, and that is a wild Oscar. I've always wanted to keep this tank on the more peaceful side because I don't want to deal with fish problems all the time. I'm also quite far away from any local aquarium store, so I can't just take a mean citizen in and drop it off and be done with that problem. So I've been quite selective, but when the opportunity came up to get a wild bumblebee Oscar at a really, really great price, I couldn't say no to it and I folded. This Oscar is absolutely awesome, but I don't think he's actually what I purchased. I think he's just a standard wild Oscar, and all the other fish, my Geophagus, my blue-eye cichlid, my beautiful Severum, all of these fish have been putting on size and just amazing growth. And the fish have been doing really happy. The Geos are actually getting ready to spawn. They've been kind of guarding the rock pile down the back, and it's probably their 4th or 5th spawn in this tank. They do it all the time, and all the other fish kind of end up eating the eggs, and I don't really bother about breeding them. But I would actually like to get some more fish for this tank. I think it's time where I kind of start looking at maybe some unique, maybe some rare species, stuff to kind of round out the stocking. The one fish though that has been giving me grief, the one fish that is meant to be the spotlight of this aquarium, the whole reason it's a paludarium, my archerfish, they have recently been giving me nothing but problems. They've gotten so aggressive with one another. They're constantly beating each other up, taking swings like that. I've got so many visual breaks. There's a big footprint. They can get away from one another, but they've actually ended up killing a couple of other archerfish in this tank. They're also constantly having some sort of external injury, missing scales, ripped fins, busted eye. It's why I've got one of them actually in the lungfish nursery now, just getting some time to recover and heal up. But it's getting to a point where I actually am starting to reconsider how long these fish stay in this tank. Like I said, I don't want to be dealing with pulling fish out, putting them in a quarantine tank, dealing with aggression problems, but they really are just being jerks to one another. And because this tank is so South American dominant, I kind of am just considering getting like some giant hatchet fish, or I'm just kind of sussing out my options here in the very early stages of thinking what happens to these archers. Even though I love having them in the tank, I just don't want to be dealing with the problems that they're giving me all the time. But aside from that, everything from like here and lower in the tank is absolutely amazing. They are such peaceful fish, but I would really love to have something here and up that just isn't beating each other up. So if you've got any potential aggression solutions, if you've got any stocking suggestions, feel free to let me know in the comments down below, because I'd love to hear your thoughts on a very critical aspect of this tank. But now, let's have a look at some of the plant growth up the top. I mean, look, nothing beats the aquatic section of this tank, but what really makes it a very unique system, and also what makes it a paludarium, is this whole section up here. It was originally just meant to be a dinner plate for my archerfish. I mean, I would throw crickets in there and the archers would spit them down, but it really has evolved beyond that to become its very own display piece, and it's probably the biggest wow factor of this tank, seeing this dense jungle that's growing up here. And it really is so dense that I kind of can't really see beyond the first layer of plants. But the closer you look, the more plants you see, the greater biodiversity, the leaf textures, shapes and sizes that you notice. And that's exactly what I intended. I actually don't even want to trim anything, because I love seeing how the plants kind of find their way in this environment and seeing how they naturally find a balance of growth. We've got everything from your classic pothos to arrowhead plants to peace lilies to edible greens. There's some native Australian plants. There's also a mangrove tree growing in here, and it's been so cool. And I actually wanted to let these plants do even better, so I got them a crazy lighting upgrade, and that's really caused an explosion of growth. But I also wanted to embrace the fact that they are growing tall, and they will eventually grow out of the tank. So I got some new lids, and I cut out sections for the plants to grow out of the system, and it has been awesome. To be honest, the main selling point for that was my mangrove tree. It's doing amazing. I want it to do amazing, so I want to provide it everything that I've got. And yeah, I must say that this has really become beautiful. So yeah, honestly, this tank could not be looking any better. So Bodgies and Widgies, that is a complete update on my 1,500 litre Paludarium. But now is where I need some help. First of all, what do you think we should do with the archerfish? Do we keep them? Do we leave them? Do we just let them ride out this aggressive streak and see who makes it out at the end? Or what do you think we should potentially replace them with? That also goes on to the second thing, what other fish do you think we should be adding into this tank? There's a couple of fish that I've got my eye on, but also I'd kind of just want to see what you think we should do with this system, how it should evolve. Third, what do you like about this aquarium? Whether it be a single fish, the overall setup, the plants, something specific that you like about this tank, which in turn gives me another idea of how we should evolve this tank in 2026. But if you've made it this far, consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't. Also give it a thumbs up, which is what I was meant to say. And thank you so much for watching this video and all the support that you've been giving me over the years. And as always, stay happy, stay safe, stay Aussie Australian. Bodgie out.